Kremnos, the mist-shrouded city of chaos and war. Its royal lineage is tainted with patricide, and its god bears the name of Calamity. The undying Mydei, the lion apart from the rest. Chrysos heir who seeks the core flame of strife, must suffer 1,000 deaths, be bathed in blood on the path home, and bear the madness of fate alone. Kingslayer be king, Godslayer be god. Iron hooves pound across the wilderness for the campaign, and must eventually soak in the blood of their homeland. In the ancient legends of the coastal city-states, the Sea of Souls is said to have birthed beings as mighty as gods. Fishermen speak of a king of the seas who appears among the waves as a young child, with a fierce countenance and bluish lips, bathing in the bone-chilling waters of the Sea of Souls, wrestling with its savage beasts, thirsting for blood, and devouring flesh and bone. It is said that each time they sink to the seabed, they soon resurrect from the Sea of Souls. Over approximately 9 years, they reforged themselves no less than 10,000 times, ultimately tearing apart a giant monster, staining the sea red for miles, yet no flesh-eating sea creature dared approach. Legends speak of how that the king of the seas could sweep countless fish and shrimp onto the shore with a flick of the tail. Once, shipwrecked fishermen praying for salvation were rescued by the king alongside his crew. As the tales grew more fantastical over time, fishermen started painting the king on their boats, in the hope it will grant them safe voyages. Rumors have emerged claiming that this so-called King of the Seas is the vengeful spirit of the Crown Prince Mydei. Terrified by the prophecy he carried, his father, the former king, cast him into the Sea of Souls at birth. His life cut short, the child died with his grievances unredressed, vowing to scour the Sea of Souls. However, the writer believes this is merely the cunning Kremnoans trying to glorify themselves, for 3 reasons. First, though the Kremnoans traditionally engage in father-son struggles where the victor becomes king, why would they throw a newborn crowned prince into the sea? Second, even if King Europon of Kremnos, grown old and senile, believed the prophecy and sacrificed his heir to the sea, how could an infant possess the divine strength to battle giant monsters? Third, even if such a child existed, he could hardly be Kremnoan. Why would a Kremnoan, known for their selfish and brutal nature as they are, assist fishermen struck by disaster? Dear readers, I will now reveal the truth. The so-called King of the Seas? Naturally, he is the embodiment of the ocean itself. Excerpt from Inquiry into the Legend of the Mighty Sea King, archived in the Garbaniforo Library Collection. Annotated by Strong, a man's handwriting. The lone army emits a strong scent of blood, like a blood-stained spear. The leading warrior, the spear tip, is always enveloped in unfathomable rage and hatred, thrusting towards the enemy. From Ladon through Idonia to Ainionis, he returned from death time and again, leaving towering infernos of war in his wake. In the infamous Battle of Ainionis, the undefeated Clydius raised his massive axe as thousands of arrows darkened the sky behind him. Yet, when the smoke cleared and fire rose from the blood-soaked ground, the warrior's fist struck like a spear, tearing open Clydius's throat. After that epic battle, the true identity of the warrior became yet more elusive. That army clearly bore the marks of Kremnoan training, but had never flown Kremnos' flag. None know whether they are Kremnoan spirits wandering on the battlefield, or lost souls who have long been away from their homeland. Wandering bards turned the lone army's journey into mournful songs, while in the rust-flavored winds of Amphorius, the lone lion led a group of old and weak soldiers as they wandered, searching for a non-existent homeland. Reality will never alter its face due to cruelty. The once elite citizens of Kremnos who followed him were loyal, but mortal, lacking his godlike immortality. As time wore on, and even the gods of Kremnos succumbed to madness, how could humanity hope to know whither they should go? Will that proud, lonely man carry the weight of his people's fate alone? Will he bind himself to the chains of kingship? Or was it all just his wishful thinking? Excerpt from A History of the Wars of Amphorius, archived in the Garbaniforo Library Collection. Annotated. Hephaestion, Perdiccas, Leonias, Ptolemy, Pequesta. Your names will not be forgotten by history. A man's handwriting. Mydei, you treacherous ingrate! You coward who has forsaken the spirit of Kremnos! You slew the former king and had your vengeance, yet you shirked the duty of restoring the dynasty. Was your honor swallowed whole by the beasts of the Sea of Souls? You roam among those who chase flames, swayed by the wild tales of a witch, fraternizing with lowborn soldiers. You choose to pin your hopes on elusive oracles rather than trust in your strength. The Kremnoans yearn to return to their war-torn homeland, yet you urge us to settle in the city-state of our sworn enemies. Have you grown enamored with the opulence of Akama, or are you already bewitched by the mist rising from its golden baths? Mydei, you with your noble and immortal essence, how can you submit to that woman of Akama? You are a predator, a messenger of strife. Have you lost sight of the difference between predator and prey? Rumors swirl that you saved Outlanders from Nikador's kin, alongside the one claiming the mantle of Chrysosairs. In that endless long night, you let your body shatter, drenched in blood and madness. Mydei, your noble blood should not be wasted on such unworthy individuals. You should be rallying your armies and plundering resources to carve out a path for Kremnos' survival in these apocalyptic times. That supposed flame-chased journey has distorted you beyond recognition, my king. A king requires no equals, no allies, no doubts, no rescue. If any semblance of your clear mind lingers, command us! Let Kremnos' glory eclipse all other city-states. Excerpt from Collected Resolutions of the Kremnos Council of Elders, stored in the Garbaniforo Library Collection. Annotated. Keep moving. A man's directive. The holy city of Akama remains one of the last pure lands untouched by the Black Tide, yet the encirclement of the Black Tide around it has become unmistakably clear. For 1,000 years, wherever the Black Tide has swept, life has been twisted into inhuman monstrosities, and city-states have been eroded by the wind into desolate ruins. Even a stronghold like Kremnos saw its gods tainted by the Black Tide, leaving nothing but wastelands in its wake. Most of the core flames had been restored, yet as the Black Tide approached, we found ourselves desperately short on time. All we have achieved will have been in vain should Akama fall before the Era Nova. The author boldly speculated that, soon, the heroes chasing the flame would inevitably face a decisive battle against the Black Tide. Historical records showed that even the most valiant warriors could not endure long within the Black Tide. Among the Chrysosair heroes, if there was any hope for this battle, it would either rest upon the fearless Finan or fall to Mydei. This wasn't merely because Mydei hailed as the bravest in this world, carried a destiny that defied death, nor was it solely because the old city of Kremnos occupied a strategic choke point against the Black Tide. Even though Mydei, like the Lion of Kremnos, had migrated countless times in his life and ultimately settled far from his birthplace, the solitary king would never submit to foreign rule. Once he had settled his people, Mydei, who regarded his mission as his very essence, would undoubtedly return home. Yet this time, he bore not only the hopes of the Kremnoans, but also the future of the entire world. Talantin's priests once prophesied that the millennium of strife that started in Kremnos would also find its end there. Perhaps, one day, that eternal figure will face the Black Tide, suspended between life and death. Imagine such a scene, such a profound tragedy. Excerpt from Flame-Chasing Observations, Black Tide Special Report, archived in the Garbaniforo Library Collection. As with the Sea of Souls, as it has always been, a recently made annotation in a man's handwriting. Cold dew congealed on the blade, sliding down in crimson streaks. The rust-tainted wilderness still flickered with embers of battle, flames leaping upon the ashes.
Mydei! That was a godlike fight just now!
A bare-chested warrior wiped his weapon clean, shouting in exhilaration.
Mydei, one day, I'll be as invincible as you.
A child gazed at him with reverence, clutching a broken sword in small hands. Crown Prince, our return to Castrum Kremnos is within sight. An aged man smiled, raising his cup in a toast to him. He nodded silently and walked to the edge of the camp. The pain of rebirth still coursed across his skin. Tomorrow, he would lead the Kremnoan detachment forth once again, migrating to foreign lands. Where this wandering would end, he did not know. The only certainty was this: he would bear the duty of a king until the blood and flames consumed him. As night deepened, he drank the blood wine alone. A passing bard plucked at his strings, a wandering melody drifting through the air. Home is the land of dreams, not a place one can ever reach. A storm broods in the distance. Tentacles extend from the Sea of Souls, as if intending to toy with that floating, fragile life. The broken limbs of the sea beast hammer giant spray skyward and sink into the oceanic abyss after shattering like rubble. They say that the roar of the fight lasted for 10 days and nights, overwhelming even the thunder and lightning. They say that even if a man had 10,000 lives, he would not be enough to resist the Sea of Souls' erosion. Then, courage washes away the immaturity and cold pride-tempered timidity, and that thin figure stumbled onto the shore. The first ray of the morning sun shines down upon the sea's water, dyeing it like past blood.